Good morning and welcome back to the workshop. So today's going to be finishing two of these pens. I will take you through the setup of how I do it. It's not necessarily the only way or the best way, it's just the way I find useful for me. So put those two aside and I'll show you turning this one, and I'll turn that one off camera because the processes are going to be identical for this one. So first thing we need to do is work out where we're going to put our tubes. Now the way I like to do it is to see where the curves are. So I normally try and put the two tubes in the middle. Yeah, I'm going to waste bits on the end, but I can live with that. So that looks good to me. So mark up that one, and yeah, similarly on that one. Now when I cut these and put the tubes in, you'll obviously have to trim the barrels, or trim the blanks to the barrels, but I'll show you when I put the tubes in. To try and keep the grain alignment and the pattern alignment, I just touch the ends of these with a barrel trimmer, but before we do anything, always scribe a line down the middle of your blank, and that way before we start turning we know that the blanks will be aligned perfectly. Okay. So I'm giving a little bit of extra length on this one. As you can see, we're not actually wasting that much. So it's over to the bandsaw and let's get these cut, and then onto the lathe to drill for the tubes. Okay, before I start drilling, setting the lathe up to drill these out, I'm just going to scuff the tubes. This is a bit of 240. It doesn't need to be aggressive. All you need to do is any oils that's on the tube, the polish, is just to roughen them up, and it gives then the glue something to hang on to. Okay, there you go. It's as quick as that. So I'll set the lathe up and I'll see you in a bit. One thing I always do before I start turning any pens, especially if I've been doing bowls and I've tilted the headstock over, is I realign the tailstock and the headstock. This is the tool that came with the lathe. So basically I unlock that, lock the tailstock in place, and then just wind the quill in. And what that will do is perfectly align the headstock with the tailstock. And I'll just unwind it and then knock that out. And that means then tailstock and headstock perfectly aligned. Okay, I've put the first blank in the tailstock. If you notice the alignment mark I put there earlier, I always drill from there outwards. It's just something I've always done. These are the Axminster pen jaws, and they're really, really good. I know loads of other chuck makers do them, so you know, everybody has their own individual choice. So, okay, let's get drilling. We'll be drilling around, yeah, so we're drilling around 500 RPM. Nice and slowly. I only ever go in about 2 centimeters at a time, clear the path, move the tailstock in a bit, lock it back, and drill another 2 centimeters. It also means then that most of the quill is inside the tailstock, so it's got maximum support. And also you can clear the flutes of the drill out. There's my witness line for the middle. As you can see, with the tailstock and the headstock aligned, the hole's practically straight down the middle. So off camera now, I'll get the other blanks drilled because the process is identical. See you in a bit. As you can see, I've got a nice firm fit on all the tubes. So, for gluing tubes in, I always use medium super glue. So I'll be using the Starbond medium. Now, sometimes things go a little bit wrong with the drilling and you end up with a slightly bigger hole. And what I do then is I'll use a 2-part epoxy, because that will also then help as a bit of a gap filler. So, let's get these tubes glued in. Okay, all the tubes are glued in. Next stage, trim the ends down to the barrels. As you can see, where I've got the witness line there, the tube is right to the end, so it's not going to take much there, but there's a bit more on the other end. This is the barrel trimmer. These shafts are interchangeable, so that this is a 7mm that fits in there nicely. So when you're doing Sierras or Zetas or any other pen, you just change this barrel out, but the cutter stays the same. This bit of wood, if you get into pen turning and you're batching them out for Christmas or whatever, handy little thing. I made 2 of these, so I can actually get 12 pens on the go. And if they're segmented, it means I can keep the 2 ends of the blanks, if they're 2-piece pens, together. So, let me just put this out of the way. Now, the trick I was taught a long time ago is, if you put the blank on the trimmer, before you put it into the chuck, you will get everything aligned. There you go. And then just trim. Again, same speed as drilling. And that's all that's needed. So what I'll do now is, again off camera, just to speed things up, as you can see, nice clean tube. I'll do the same then for all the blanks. I'll bring you back when all that's done. Well, there you go. As everybody always says, hang on to the chuck when you take the drill bit out. And guess who didn't? It came out of the quill and did that. So, one completely stuffed blank. So, oh well, never mind. Let's carry on. One other little tip. Obviously, when we start turning, we're going to turn that witness line off. And if you do loads of them, they can get mixed up. So what I do is use a Sharpie or a felt tip pen, and I mark the ends of the tube. So one of them is going to be the nib end, and one of them is going to be the cap end. So they're permanent fixtures, so you'll never see that mark. Just a tip. Okay, so put it on a mandrel, bush in, blank, witness line, bush in, blank, witness line, bush in, and spacer, and then tighten down. Okay, let me find my favourite carbide for pens, and we'll start turning. Okay, face shield on, tool rest so that the blade is at centre height. Face shield on because that's all bits of wood stuck together, so I have known them fly apart. We'll be turning around 2000 RPM. There you go, 1996, a nice gentle cut till we get to round. Okay, there we have it. Nicely down to the bush ends, and time for everybody's favourite pastime, a bit of sanding. So I'll be using 120 up to 600, and I'll show you the first bit, and then I'll bring you back once it's all done. Okay, when I've sanded, obviously go along there, we shall create lots of radial lines all the way around, and then I'll stop the lathe and go along the grain to smooth those out. But one thing I will do first, I don't want the walnut and the Osage orange to bleed into each other, so what I'm going to do is just put a quick single coat of thin Superglue on there, let that dry naturally, and then I can start sanding. There you go. And I'll just release the pressure off the tailstock just to break the seals. I'm sanding around 600, just over. So just rub it up and down. One thing I quite often do is wrap the sandpaper around the blank, because that way you know you can get a really smooth surface with no bumps. So I'll bring you back when it's time to do the next stage. Okay, I'm not sure if the camera can pick it up, but you've got some nice radial scratch lines there, so just going with the grain, slowly spinning it around until you've got rid of all of those. So I'll carry on with all the rest of the grits and I'll bring you back when it's ready to do the next bit. Right, all the sanding is done, and this is one of my favourite parts where we actually get to see what the blank is going to look like. So I've just got some methylated spirits or denatured alcohol and clean everything off. There you can see, before the DNA or mess dries off, what it's going to look like. Okay, I'll bring you back next. So it's time to put on the Superglue finish, and what I use is Chestnut's Products Safety Cloth. I know lots of people use normal kitchen towel, and I started off using that, but I found it to be quite grabby. So all I do is cut some. I need to get a better pair of scissors. I'll go and get into the house and grab a pair. So yeah, I'll just cut those up into little squares, and then save super glue getting on my finger. I use one of the packets that the components come in. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so Starbond thin again. What I'll do is I'll put 5 coats of thin on, and then 3 coats of medium. So I'll show you one of the coats, and then I'll bring you back when all are done, so that you can see the next stage. And I'll let that dry naturally. Again, no accelerator. So I'll see you in a bit. So that's 5 coats of thin, and now 3 of medium. I'll see how this builds. I may end up putting 4, maybe 5 coats of the medium on. We'll see how we go. So I'll show you the first one and bring you back at the end. Well, on to the final stage now. That's the Micromesh. These pads go from 1500 up to 12,000, and I've numbered them 1 to 9. The numbering doesn't come off on any of the pens. And that actually took 6 coats of medium to get it to that stage, because it was just soaking it up. So turn the lathe back up now to about 2000 RPM, and let's get some shine. If you can see the white, but these are really the forming pads, that any little bumps and lumps that you've got from the super glue, the first 2 pads will be the ones that take those back off. So you can already start to see, hopefully, the shine starting to build. There you go, that's the slurry. So give a bit of clean down just with some kitchen towel, get rid of the first one before going on to the next one. I'll bring you back at the end. Now, there we are, all the grits, and the shine always gets me. Those Micromesh pads are really, really good. So it's time to take this off the mandrel now, put my pen press into headstock and tailstock, and let's assemble a slimline pen. Okay, it's time now to assemble the pen. If you remember, I marked the insides of the tubes, so I know that's going to be my grain match. I always put all my little components in a tray, so I know I've got everything I need. So let's press the nib end in. There you go. Nice transition. And now the clip. I think the clip's going to look nice running down the middle of the mahogany there with the Osage orange on the back, so let's put that there. Line it up and press it home. Now the next bit is the most important. Now I have a horrible feeling that I trimmed these down too far. So you've got to mark there. Now lots of people say just push it in up to that mark and it'll be fine. I've found that with some of these kits you don't need to go that far. If you do, the nib won't retract properly. So hopefully I haven't messed it up and that I can get a pen out of all of this work. So I go to there and then try the nib. It just screws in. Needs to go a little bit further, but not a lot. Get rid of the little nib on the end. Tiny little bit more, but not too much. That should do it. And even though this tube is slightly shorter than it should be, by doing it that way you still get a full retraction. In fact, I can go a little bit more. It's just trial and error. There you go. So that's all the brass bits in. As you can see, I'm nowhere near the ring that everybody says you go to. There, that's perfect. Put the centre band on, and then the last thing to do is to align. I always like to align with the nib shut, and you get that nice flow. And then there, one simple segmented slimline pen. I'll see you back in my chair and we'll have a little chat about it and what went wrong. See you in a bit. Hello again. Well, here it is, finally finished. And this is supposed to be a simple segmented pen. Apologies for the length of the video. I was trying to explain as I go along the procedures, and I didn't realise that it was going to take that long, because it is quite a simple process. But as I think I said in the last video, these fought me every inch of the way, bless them. You saw one half of one of the blanks explode, and there's no way I can repair it. So I thought, well, I'm not wasting the other half. So I turned it. And when I can find them in the workshop, that's going to become a keyring, because lots of people who buy pens like that, if they see that, they'll buy a keyring as well. So yeah, it was fun, believe it or not. And if you've liked what you've seen and you want to see more, you can subscribe through hitting my icon at the bottom there. Click all on the notification bell. YouTube lets you know when I upload videos, which is normally a Thursday morning, about 10 o'clock UK time. To all the existing subscribers, thank you ever so much, Josh and Al. If you've liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't, give it a thumbs down. But please leave a comment either way. I do read them all and I reply to them all. So yeah, if you want to like it, share it, all those good things as everybody says, that would be great. So next week's video is going to be quite a short one, in that I've got to get this workshop sorted. I meant to do it over Christmas, but Christmas and family and what have you, and then in January I put my back out. So I think my back's well enough now to be able to get me in there to start moving things around and get things sorted. So yeah, and till the next one, all I've got to say now is please stay safe, take care of yourself, and oil.